What's up, everybody? I'm Apollo. This is Late Great Game Reviews, and this week I am reviewing Thomas Was Alone. Actually, this is the second game I'm reviewing this week. I reviewed Fear 3 earlier on. You can check that out on the same video page you found this one on, Late Great Game Reviews. Yeah, I'm reviewing Thomas Was Alone. Great game. It's developed by Mike Bithell in conjunction with Bossa and Curve Studios. It came out originally back in 2010 as about Flash-based browser game. It's an indie puzzle platformer, and it was eventually uh, it was eventually ported to Mac and PC in 2012, and eventually came to PS3 and PS Vita in 2013. I reviewed it on Vita. It uses you can either there's lots of different characters, which I'll explain in a second, but you transition through the characters, like you can shift between characters constantly, and you can do that either with the L and R shoulder buttons on the Vita, or you can do it by touchscreen. I had to use a combination of both throughout my playthrough, just because at one point, I mean, there's some points there's just a lot of different characters on screen. Some points I think the most is like near the end of the game where there's like literally 9 different characters, and the way I held my Vita, sometimes my thumb would touch the touchscreen and accidentally shift between characters, making it difficult. Because the idea of the game is that the basic premise is that you start out as Thomas, this AI computer program, and each character is a rectangle, a polygon of some sort, of different lengths, heights, and widths. And so you start out as Thomas. He's making observations. He becomes self-aware, and he basically decides to try to break out of the system. Because he becomes self-aware and he wants to do more. It's the classic AI situation, right? That we've seen in movies, comics, television shows, books, whatever. And so he meets all these other different polygons, they're different AIs, different programs along the way. Each one has their own personality, which is great, like their own quirky personalities. One is cocky, another is very self-conscious, another feels like the others are using her, another is not liked because he's grumpy. There's all different types of personalities, and like I said, there's a bunch of different characters, and I really, really like that. There's no voice work for the characters themselves, but there's a narrator the narrator is Danny Wallace, and he's great. He's a great British narrator. I'm not going to say he did the music because I'm not sure about that. But yeah, the music as well is terrific. Great soundtrack. And also you can another really cool function, which I didn't discover until the first few levels in, was that you can turn the narration, like the volume of the narration down or up. So if you don't want it there, you don't have to hear it. But what's awesome is that you can actually turn on commentary from the creator, Mike Bithell, on, so you can listen to both the narration and the commentary, which can get a little tricky. You might have to adjust volume settings. I used headphones. But it's really cool, and Mike Bithell just talks about, like, he goes on each level. There's a different piece of commentary, and he talks about why the level's important to him, what he was going for in the level, some of the mistakes he feels he made and would change if he went back. It's really, really cool. Something that I don't think I've ever seen that in a game. Usually you get it in some sort of extra package or something. It's a little bonus thing, that you might unlock or something. But this is ready right from the get-go. It's really cool. The game is, I don't know exactly how long maybe 5 hours it took me total over 3 days, 5-6 hours. But I think it could have either been cut in half, or maybe not in half, but at least cut down by maybe a third, and it would have been more effective, because it does feel like it drags on just a little bit. I love the story. It's great. But after a while, I'm not gonna spoil any parts of the story, but after a while you meet other characters that have the exact same attributes as some of the previous characters we met, and like they can jump jump different heights and stuff. And I'll talk about the attributes in a second. But yeah, you meet the same. You meet different characters with the same attributes as other characters, and you have to use some of the same techniques, like climbing on top of each other and then doing that again and again and again in a certain configurations. Yeah, and you have to do that like again and again, and do it the same exact way you've done it in so many other levels before, and that can get a bit monotonous. That's the only reason I say that it might have benefited by being like a bit shorter. But yeah, that's about it, I'd say. Like I mentioned a second ago, each character not only has their own unique personality, but they have their expressed by the narrator, terrifically. But each character has their own attributes, so they can do different things. One can jump really high, another can double jump, another can float on water, another can if another can bounce the others off of her, up and down. And you use that, and that's the idea of the game, right? And that's why it's called Thomas Was Alone, because it starts out with Thomas, he's alone, and he meets these other characters, and they're all alone at first, and then they find each other, and they find that they not only do they have friendships with each other which grow across the story, but they also find that they need each other to get out of this world, and that's where the whole uh, using each other like different configurations, like jumping on one to float across the water, using another to double jump. It's really great. It's really inventive, and they also have these things called shifters, which is probably the key staple mechanic of the game. Which is basically, I don't exactly know how to describe it. They're kind of like they're just basically others like somewhat transparent squares in the air, which are color coded to each character, or not every character, but the characters with special attributes, like the bouncing or the double jumping or the floating on water, and the color coded to those characters so that you know which ability you're getting. So you'll jump into one of those shifters, and you'll get that attribute until you hit another shifter. So, for instance, I believe, no, it wasn't Sarah. Claire. Claire is the blue polygon that can float on water. She's awesome. She thinks she has superpowers. Really cool. But she can float on water. No one else can. If you hit the water as anyone else, you will die. So you use her to float across the water, and she's blue. So there'll be around. You'll see blue shifters, and you know that if you jump into that, you'll be able to float on water as well. It's that sort of thing, and it's really really cool. This is a great game. I mean, the game continues. There's a variety of different levels, from everything from shrinking levels that shrink as you hit different switches, to levels where you're literally. I mean, there's a level where you're literally falling, or the entire. You're not falling, but the entire level is falling, and there's different shifters that you go through. Like there's an anti-gravity shifter. There's a whole bunch of different things. This game is definitely worth checking out. It's free on PlayStation Plus right now. I got it for free. Definitely worth checking out. It's a nice little indie game. It's really special. It's a good game. I'm gonna give it a 7.5 out of 10. I believe that's all I have to say. And yeah, that is Thomas Was Alone. I played it on Vita, but it's also, like I said, it's on Mac and PC, and it was originally a Flash-based browser game. You might still be able to find it as that. I'm really not sure. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, that's Thomas Was Alone. I'm Apollo. This has been Late Great Game Reviews. I will see you guys and girls next week.